One of my favorite people in the entire hero scene is Snitch. We got to see an awesome interview with him during the break. And now he and the rest of his team, Dignitas, find themselves one game away from being in the grand finals of the IEM Katowice, the HGC Western Clash, J-How.
They find themselves here, and I don't think it's a surprise to anybody yet. And we're still waiting for that counterpunch for Tempo Storm to come out. It seems like the first few games, I'm not sure what's going on with him, but it doesn't look like the Tempo Storm that I expected coming into the series. Obviously, it's not an elimination match, but I definitely didn't expect this type of series through the first two games.
Well, let's get into the battleground for Game 3, as it is a rough moment for Tempo Storm, and it's so close now. Team Dignitas can taste that grand finals. They've been working their way back there ever since they lost their last match of Part 1. They had already qualified, but they lost to Zealots, and they felt a lot of disappointment. Snitch tweeted that he felt a lot of disappointment about that. We're gonna see which map we're going to, but Mike, talking about feeling disappointment, where do you think Tempo Storm's mentality is at right now?
I mean, so at the end of that last game, it panned to the Tempo Storm players, and you saw an argument going on between Fan and Psalm, and I feel like that is a really bad sign for Tempo, right? They do have very strong personalities, and, you know, I feel like that last game really came down to pretty much three people, Psalm, Glau, and Fan, all getting picked a lot throughout the game, right? And it just came down to individual picks. And what I am really afraid of for that team is not necessarily tilting, but the I need to be a hero, you know, mentality of like, I need to put that backpack on, I need to carry my team, you know, we're down two games, like we're gonna need to start this reverse sweep, like it's on me. And that a lot of times will put, you know, people in really bad situations where they just end up feeding, they end up overextending, trying to do too much.
Well, can Tempo Storm find their hero? You can vote in the chat and let us know what you think, or if you think Team Dignitas is going to get the 3-0 easy and move on over North America to the grand finals. Vandy, thoughts on what you've seen in the last two games between these two teams?
I'm getting a bit worried for Tempo Storm, and the reason why I say this is because they've had the comfort picks, they've had things that, you know, you've got them on the Malthael, the Zeratul, and they're still losing these fights. And what I'm seeing as well is just, I guess, a little bit of that unwillingness to adapt to what Dignitas are bringing. Yes, it's very hard. You don't know what Dignitas is going to bring because they have such a wide hero pool. They have a range of strategies. But in terms of just when your comfort picks aren't working for you, when your power plays aren't working for you, like you said as well, that tilt factor starting to set in. I'm really, really worried for Tempo Storm, but I just need them to just refresh and rethink about this next game.
Yes, it's the battle that you talked about, Michael Udall. When do you stop playing the Tempo Storm meta, and when do you start adapting in a series? Now feels like the time, am I wrong?
I mean, so the big thing is, I feel like now is the time, 100%.
Okay.
What I was gonna say is, so worst case scenario, right, you lose this game and you still have a chance, you know, you've beaten Zealots before, you've beaten Fnatic, you're gonna get a second shot at Dig if you are able to, you know, beat whichever team wins in the lower bracket. So let's try something, right? Let's go a little off, you know, meta, because worst case scenario, we just figure out, okay, that won't work next time we face them. So I'd love to see them switch it up, but they are going to go with the same first pick Malfurion. I mean, this could go into some other strategies, but I'm just a little worried that they are going to go for the same thing.
I feel like Dignitas, this is one of those situations where Tyrael Blaze seems expected, but look at the fact that it's Cursed Hollow, and the way that Wubby plays this battleground is a little bit different than what we traditionally see. I would expect them to want to go in the Dahaka route, but I don't know if they're just be like, look, why would we change what's already working? But I think that that might be kind of the post-second ban pickup for Team Dignitas, so I think they themselves might even try and do something a little bit different here.
I'm definitely expecting them to still grab that Blaze. Whether they pick up the Tyrael, though, on this map, and instead just trade that out for the Dahaka, that's what I'm willing to sort of wait and see.
I mean, it's interesting you say that, because actually, I kind of feel like it's going to be the opposite, right? I feel like Tyrael on this map just brings... Yeah, exactly. You already know it. I mean, the Tyrael with Blast the Holy Ground is just so strong. But that being said, you know, it really is coin toss. It's just personal preference. Both of those heroes are incredibly strong. As far as the second pick goes, I'm kind of leaning towards a Genji. Okay, no.
They're going to do the exact same thing.
I mean, if it's not broke, why would you fix it? Like, that's the thing is...
They don't... Yeah.
Third time's a charm, right?
I don't know that Tempo Storm style, that melee heavy, the coordination that has been happening between these two players, Wubby and JPL, I don't know that that's going to work here anymore. Yes, there were a lot of personal errors in the last game for Tempo Storm, but the control that Team Dignitas has in team fights because of Bunker and Sanctification seems too strong.
It does seem too strong, and if you take into consideration what Tempo Storm likes to run, it's a very melee heavy, and it's very burst heavy, whether it's the Zeratul, whether it's the Malthael with the last rights nowadays, or even Tormented Souls in the right situation. There's just way too many hard counters on that front side with the Blaze and the Tyrael, and it just seems like, I think Michael's hitting it that Tempo Storm has to change something, because that something is being countered in draft, and you continue to give up the map pick to get first pick. And it's just, it doesn't seem like they're getting what they want in their first few picks.
So Jay, how we're talking about that change. Is the Dahaka Genji enough? Is that enough change for you?
It isn't for me, because, I mean, where does Genji really come into play? I mean, if you're going to get to somebody on that backside, Dahaka and Genji can easily get back there. Malfurion can complement with a little bit of heals, but what happens when you get counter-engaged with the Malfurion? Do you have that frontline control that a Blaze and a Tyrael has? Dahaka is not that frontline stalwart that's just going to stand there. Arthas is okay for a moment because he slows it down, but he doesn't stop the aggression.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, where you're looking at Genji, Dragon Blade has traditionally been the ultimate to go, but they already have Sanctification and Bunker. I mean, I would not be surprised if we see an X-Strike coming out this game, and it is something that they have showed throughout this tournament. But then it's like, Genji, one of the biggest reasons you pick him is because he has such a powerful, impactful ultimate.
Yeah.
And you're picking a hero that, he's good. Genji, don't get me wrong, he's one of the Shimada brothers, so he is a beast. And the other one just got banned out, but it just doesn't seem that good into the Blaze Tyrael.
Well, I also just wanted to bring up that Bunker has been a huge factor in terms of just mitigating all the damage that's been thrown their way and really just picking apart Tempo Storms. Anytime they get Tempo, not trying to make it a bit of a joke, in the fights, that Bunker has been dropped to help them disengage, to buy that extra time and give them that additional armor so they can safely retreat, really denying those kills and starving Tempo Storm of that experience, as well as the map advantage that they would have gained to then go out, press the objective, get some camps, etc.
Yeah, and I feel like for the side of Team Dignitas, you just pick Li Ming here, and you just do the exact same thing they did last game, right? Maybe Li Ming healer. They might end up picking up their second damage. They could go, Li Ming Grey Main.
The Gul'dan also is something I think that has to be considered here. It's a great frontline control with the added protection that you get from all that you've got. I think we might even see Rhaegar kind of at the back end of the strap support-wise. But, and that's mainly due, obviously, with Uther and Malfurion gone. We've seen kind of the Rhaegar kind of spring up just a little bit. We get the Rhaegar, we get the Grey Main.
Good call.
So they do end up favoring the Grey Main over the Li Ming here. I mean, it is really strong on this map because Curse Hollow is a lot about PvE pressure. How fast can you take out that Siege camp, that Bruiser camp, those Knights? So, I like the Grey Main over the Li Ming here. You still can flex into, maybe that Gul'dan later on in the draft, but it's just a very solid, very tanky composition for Dignitas. And Tempo Storm, on the other hand, they have Genji that wants to dive the backline, but that's going to be a very difficult task going into, what Team Dignitas has right now.
Heads up ban by Team Dignitas and banning Hanzo solely because generally Tempo Storm, when you look at Dahaka Genji, they're very flexible and it can be really hard to figure out which damage dealers are still available and that Tempo Storm might be wanting to pick up. But generally in this case, Fan has been the one playing Genji, Dahaka has been played by Glaurung, so we're looking still at a Psalm hero, a backliner. They have the Hanzo ban that's also going to be with the PvE pressure of trying to get bosses quickly. Mike, what are you thinking here?
Abathur, Abathur Genji, right? Like that is such a strong combo that we've seen banned out. Is Tempo going to go for it? Okay, they do go for the Arthas taking, or the Arthas Tychus looking to shred the tanks. But yeah, I mean, generally when you see the Genji picked up in the first half of the draft, the Abathur is banned out. I mean, so that's very pertinent information for Dig. Let's say, Dig does win this series and ends up playing Tempo again in the grand finals. That is a really good thing to note, that Tempo doesn't prioritize that Abathur Genji as much. That is something that they don't have to ban later on.
I don't think in general I see very much Abathur play from Tempo. It seems to feel like they want to be more aggressive early, and maybe they feel like that hinders that a little bit as they're waiting for Abathur to ramp up. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, it's just interesting because Fan, I do agree, but Fan is one of the best Abathurs.
How do you feel about Abathur here for Dignitas, though?
I mean, that looks like a very scary comp, actually.
If you then put an Abathur on top of that, that's just asking for more trouble, right?
Yeah. They do go for it.
There you go. They say, if you don't want it, Tempo Storm, we're more than happy to comply with that. And I feel like Fan, he's played the Abathur before. I feel like that could have been maybe that extra sort of advantage they need to help them with the macro, help them empower the Genji, give them a little bit of sustain, give them that vision that they also desperately need. It feels a bit unfortunate, like maybe a missed opportunity to take it.
A missed opportunity, but I think that is a huge pickup because Greymane, the backline of Snitch and Polk do so well together that they have the flexibility to do that. This is where Snitch comes into play. If you look at him historically, I cannot help but express how diverse his hero pool has been for a long period of time. Whether it's the specialist, whether it's the carry role, he can do everything so well. So the Abathur is, he's no, I guess this is what he's known to do. what your team needs is what Snitch does, and that rounds out this draft to be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and it's information gaining too, not only for Team Dignitas, but other 2 European teams who are watching our sole NA team left.
I mean, so was that predictions as far as?
Why don't you go ahead? It is now.
I mean, Dignitas. I just feel like they have been so dominant in the past 2 games, and I love their draft. I feel like that Abathur pick was just
icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's so good.
A little extra, the cherry on top. So you've got Team Dignitas.
I'll just add a little bit more into that. Yeah, a little spice into that with my prediction, because
No salt.
Dignitas is cooking up a storm. And their draft, it really just, I'm ready to see that cake bake or whatever we're making. Dignitas, I feel, have this one.
We haven't had lunch yet, so that's why we're going to get some right after this, I think.
I think Dignitas got their grilled cheese sandwich, Gilly.
Oh.
But seriously, the way this works is that Dignitas, they're known for their macro game, but they're known for their team fighting as well. They get both here, and what they do with Abathur in games, you see ADRD, right? He kind of has a little bit of what he does, but what Dignitas does with it is a little bit different. With the Abathur, look for him to place mines down, look for Greymane to get a lot of split push value, and just control vision, control the lanes, and really just kind of take that control that we know Dignitas can do so well.
Team Dignitas always has had a very stalwart, great mentality, and I think they're feeling very good and very confident about today, so I see no reason to vote against them in this potential final game of the winners finals. We'll see if they can go to the grand finals. Do you agree? Yes, this is only widening the gap now as we're at 91% for Team Dignitas. We're heading over to the casting desk with Trixler and Caldor for game 3 between Tempo and Team Dignitas.
Thank you, Gilly. Mike asked an interesting question there. If you have Blaze Interior, why fix it if it's not broken, Caldor?
Well, why would you change it if it is broken? Because that opening has done a lot of work so far for the blue team, starting to the left side in game number 3, maybe even the last map of the series. This time, we have Snitch on Abathur, Poik on Greymane, Wubi again on Blaze, JPL again on Tyrael, and Zelia this time on Rhaegar. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Team Dignitas!
On the right side in the red, Kato on Arthas, Glorong on Dahaka, Soam on Tychus, June on Malfurion, Fan on Genji. It's North America's best Tempo Storm!
And I want to echo something that Michael talked about, and that is that he thought there was a bit of friction on the side of Tempo Storm after that second loss. And this is one of the things that always is a big concern when you talk about top teams, when you talk about superstar teams. It's easy when you win. It's easy to have that synergy and that team spirit when everything is going smoothly. But how do you react when you have those losses coming in? How do you deal with that situation? And this is something that Tempo Storm has to show now. They have to show that they are able to take losses and to adjust.
And I wonder if they can. In game number 2, it felt like they fell apart. Many deaths popping in for them. Hopefully this small break we had between game 2 and game number 3 gives them time to recollect themselves. I think us as fans would love to go to game 4.
Exactly.
And fight with this series.
Yeah, this is not what I was expecting when I came in here today. I really expected Tempo Storm coming out swinging and giving Dignitas a fight for their money. But as you mentioned, that short break we had, those 5 minutes, that might have been enough for Tempo Storm to just calm down a little bit, discuss the situation and say, okay guys, this hasn't worked out, we're behind. How do we adjust? What do we do now? How do we get back into this to make sure that we have still a shot to go straight to the grand final?
Well, good news for them, being on Cursed Hollow, a battleground that's super macro-oriented, something that we talked about often this weekend. Them playing their lanes well, making sure to set up, pre-set up their lanes, and also making sure to be in a spot where they try to get a small lead and experience. We'll see if they can do it here on Cursed Hollow. And against an Abathur composition, technically the cards are in their favor to do so.
Yeah, especially here in the early game, they might have that power. And we have, at this point, both of the teams using the tools they have in their arsenal to go for the early camps. Siege Giants pushing through the bottom and through the top lane, especially on Dignitas' side. We're seeing Greymane and Rhaegar together with Abathur having an easy time. But a slight adjustment on Tempo Storm's side as they're saying, you know what, what's better than one camp? We're taking 2.
Taking the middle camp here, grabbing that night camp. I want to see if Malfurion's going to rotate from the bottom side into the middle. He'll have to be careful here because Greymane is in that bottom lane, indicating that if Malfurion does leave, we can have Poik on that Greymane push in and break down some turrets. But it's all about that night camp and it being pushed in. How much will Tempo Storm get? And if they leave it alone, maybe to wait for the next tribute, that's another way they can get value out of it.
Yeah, Tempo Storm is currently trying to time it, and that's very important. We see Dignitas going for the camp as well, but a lot later than Tempo Storm does, because they don't want to wait around. But this is the big problem. Tempo Storm took the camp first. So what's very likely to happen is now Dignitas delaying their own camp even more. So ideally you time it so that your opponent's camp is just within tower range as the two camps collide. That will make it much easier for you to clear the camp out, and you still get value from your own camp while you're fighting for the tribute itself.
Tempo Storm attempting to set up a gank here. Cattle in the bush on the left side. If Quick steps a little bit too closely, he can get caught out and maybe taken away, especially if Genji wants to rotate down. And here's the defense you were talking about. Tempo Storm did push in the middle lane, but the turrets are there for defense.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. This is exactly what Dignitas wanted, and it gives them that slight edge when those camps collide. And it might seem like a minor detail. It really might seem like a small play, but this is huge. This is putting in time on the Tempo Storm, and it gives Dignitas additional value. So just delaying the camp properly to make the situation occur is what can already set yourself ahead.
Stop your opponent's traction and gain your own. And Team Dignitas gives up the tribute. They have the middle lane pushing in, but it's all about just hanging in there right now. That out of their composition, always trying to move towards that elusive level 10.
And already we see the pressure mounting here on the side of Tempo Storm. They're losing or about to lose two of the structures in the mid lane. It's experience for Dignitas to grab so that they can, around the third tribute, have an easy fight with Abathur having access to ultimate evolution.
A little bit of a scuffle here on the bottom side as Psalm steps to engage. Jumps on JPL, burns it down pretty quickly, but thanks to Eldruin, he's able to get out pretty darn easily. We'll be having our second tribute spawn in the top right corner, and Tempo Storm starting to fall slightly behind in experience. You're seeing Dignitas has really controlled the map.
Yeah, Dignitas is playing this quite well. And you have to always acknowledge that at the beginning of a game, we oftentimes face a situation where an Abathur composition has to give up some tributes. You have to play it a bit safer. If you can grab one of the early ones, it gives you a lot of safety around level 10. But the idea is always to let one or two go, and then you make the play for the third one with your heroic ability. And that is what Dignitas is looking for in this case.
I like this play by Tempo Storm, but Poik, a little bit too wise, jumps to his teammate, but it might not be enough. Poik falls as Tempo Storm gets the first kill of the game.
And they want the second one. They're going for Zillia. Snitch is ready to help the dog out. But still, great opening here by Tempo Storm, getting the first kill for the first time in the series now.
That was a large flank too, coming all the way to the middle, flanking down to the back left. Cattle with a great positioning, able to get a kill on Poik, and the second tribute is now up and available, and Tempo Storm will easily nab it. Being in a good spot too. If they grab it instantly, they should be in a spot to grab the third one before 10 hits.
Exactly, so they are not wasting any time here trying to make that happen. We have also, again, a few adjustments when it comes to builds. Abathur so far has very heavily specced into Carapace, but we see on level 7 Needle Spine for the extra damage. And also, no Wisdom Duelist for Poik, instead the extra range, trying to get the Quicksilver bullets in so they can chase also Genji a little bit more, can keep him in range and push the damage out. And let's not forget about Blaze here. Whoopi, every time, this time going for the Neural Stimpact on level 1, so already adjusting the build slightly, going for the cooldown reduction instead, and for the mana, allows him to stay on the lane longer and in the fight. And we have the level 7, the Grill and Kill. And talking about kills, Cattle might fall victim to Dignitas as they move in and take Arthas down.
Dignitas has realized that Cattle has attempted that same gank pattern 3 times in a row, and on the third time, they finally catch him. That gives them a kill, a little bit of experience too, and also gives them positioning on this next tribute that spawns to the top left.
Fool me twice, shame on you.
I got no follow-up to that. Usually I'm ready. I got nothing for you, buddy.
At this point, we have the boss actually committed to, and this is something I don't think that Tempo Storm is seeing this coming. And that is a perfect attack here, because this is another one they can give up, but that curse will do very little for Tempo Storm if Dignitas is playing around it. And at this point, they can even delay it more. They do with JPL, and now we have also Blaze coming in from the top. Whoopi is delaying this more and more as the boss is now being picked up at the bot lane, but 10 is in for Tempo Storm.
JPL and Wubby delaying this long enough. Can they do it one more time? Ooh, barely missing out there. Tempo Storm will get the curse, but with the boss grab to the bottom lane and Giants on the top, Dignitas has tempered this curse for a little bit. Let's see if they can hold on long enough for the next minute.
That is a pretty decent spot for you to be in if you're facing a curse. And that was a great play by Dignitas. Realizing that 10 would hit first for Tempo Storm, that they don't have Abathur available for the tribute. So instead they go for the boss and they say either Tempo Storm is trying to fight over the boss or at least trying to dissuade them, then they can still get the experience to fight over the tribute, or it's going to be an exchange. And that is now, of course, making this way less effective for Tempo Storm than it could be.
Dignitas also has to run in the middle lane as JPL was defending against Fan, who pushed in the middle wave, but the big push is in this top lane. And Tempo Storm seems like they have earned enough space with Cattle pushing away the Greymane for them to start working on this fort. Can they take it away? It looks like Whoopi's going to go ahead and give it up. Dignitas will do the same as well as they grab the Night Camp in the middle lane. So a fort for Tempo Storm, and they take a pretty decent lead here in experience.
It's one of the most difficult things in Heroes of the Storm that you have to know, when do I need to give something up? Is this something I want to fight over? Is this really when I'm going to make my stand? And Dignitas decided that they would rather give Tempo Storm a level lead and sacrifice the fort at the top lane than taking a disadvantageous fight. But they have to be careful, because Tempo Storm is pushing the envelope here. They are at the bot lane with the Haka, they want to go for the second fort, and they are starting to take a very solid lead in the experience.
It looks like they might just get it here. Daka does back up, Minion's still there as well. Gonna be having a burrow soon here. Wubby goes in for the engaged jet propulsion, misses out on it. Cattle turns around with the frozen Tempest to slow him down, but Dignitas is able to back away.
Yeah, they're trying to utilize the camp here, and at this point, the Spell Aura is, of course, helping out quite nicely, but Tempo Storm is closing on 13. Cattle, on the other hand, is rather low and needs to back off here. June doing his best to keep him alive, but we still have the Dehaka factor. He takes the fort at the bot lane, that gives Tempo Storm 13, and there was always a chance of Dehaka using his global to burrow in, so Dignitas rather retreats at this point.
And the first time in the series, we actually have Tempo Storm ahead in a talent tier, 13-12, working on their Night Camp as well, but the game has just started for Dignitas. Remember, post 10 is what they were trying to get to. The next fight around the tribute is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, also interesting to see that Tychus did not go for the Neo Steel coating on level 13. Instead, we have him with That's the Stuff. So currently trying to use the synergy between the bigger they are and the level 13 talent to get a bit more of a hit point pullback when he starts to go in and attempts to burst Blaze and Tyrael.
If he can avoid that Greymane diving the back line as well as a clone, that should be able to pay off for them, but that's a risk that you run.
Talking about dive, we're seeing the dive coming onto Glorang, who connects with a tongue, but he's still able to retreat into the path of the towers, and immediately Tempo Storm with a rotation to help Dehaka out, but Dignitas saw it coming, will be anchored on Blaze and saw the push coming. The problem for Dignitas is that Tempo Storm is just not letting go with this aggression, and they are pushing in the mid lane now.
Any other top laner in that may have been a kill, but thanks to Dehaka's W Dark Swarm, he was able to seep his way through the opposing heroes and not get body blocked out. Tempo Storm going for this fort. It's getting pretty darn low. JPL jumps into a bunker. He's low too, Ancestral is too late. Azalea missing out on it, and Tempo Storm gets a kill.
Tempo Storm is starting to really put the pressure on here. They're doing well. 2 kills against 1, and Fan willing to go straight for the Dragon Blade here. And with that play, they forced out the Ancestral, but as you can see, it was just too late. Zelia couldn't get it in time. And it was a big deal, actually, that he didn't have level 13 yet. With the Earthen Shield, that would have been a sure save. He could have thrown the shield out, then go for the Ancestral, and that would have bought him enough time to get the ult through. But as is, Tyrael falls, and Tempo Storm picks up another tribute and goes for the boss.
Great pickup for Tempo Storm, and as you mentioned, the boss being focused too. Dignitas sniffing the south, though, comes from the top left, sneaks on in, sees that it's taking some damage as well, and they're going to float around the corner.
Now, one of the things that we have, of course, to mention here, too, is that Abathur scales extremely nicely into the late game. And this is one of the tools that Dignitas is going to use later. Abathur has to be careful of Dehaka with the global. That's definitely another issue to take into consideration here. But Abathur will have a massive effect in the late game. And currently Dignitas is fighting around Abathur. No copy used just yet. Are they going for the team fight? It is a good one, but Tyrael is low. Sanctification's on ground. Odin pops in the backline. Sestra comes through and the bunker's already in play. June needs to pop the Icebook to get away from this one. But we have Genji slicing and dicing.
And Psalm also shelling away on that back line. Fan able to kite back towards his teammate. Glorung has to burrow just to stay alive, and Arthas gets taken out as Cattle will fall. Point going in for another fight as well, jumping on Fan, but he can't quite get the kill. Glorung has a drag up pretty soon. Can he land it? He hits it on Rhaegar, and Psalm will take him out.
Glorung with a connect here, and he gets the kill, the counter kill for Tempo Storm as they are closing in on 16. Dignitas wanted the fight. They needed a fight before the talent advantage for Tempo Storm comes in. But another tribute for Tempo Storm. That's the 5th in a row that they are able to claim. They are dominating the objective on Cursed Hollow.
Glorung able to scout out the boss in the bottom left corner, which does indicate to his team that they can move into the boss to the top right. So it will be a trade for our team. And this actually favors Tempo Storm. 1, because they're about to hit level 16, and 2, because they're taking the fort already out in the top left corner.
They will start to threaten keep, especially with the level 16 advantage that they have. That's a huge deal here right now. At this point, we're having especially the final cut for Genji, but also the elongated tongue for Dehaka. And you can say about Glorung whatever you want, but his Dehaka play is solid. He's doing such a fantastic job at the Western Clash, just getting these tongues in, making sure that he hits his isolations and really wreaks havoc in team fights against the opponents, Tyrael in particular.
This is actually a really important team fight for Team Dignitas. There is a boss pushing in the top lane, there's a Dehaka with a global, and with a tribute spawning, that is going to be the second curse for Tempo Tempo Storm. Dignitas needs to decide what they want to do with this tribute. And so far, it looks like they're going to go ahead and give it away and turn their attention to the boss. They may lose some keep walls, maybe a keep, but they think they have to play defense because they're not 16 yet.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, we've been asking earlier, did Tempo Storm use that 5-minute break to collect their thoughts and really focus their attention towards the third game? And the answer is clearly yes. They're looking good here. So that break did really do them some good. They're in a much better position right now, much better coordinated. And this is the second curse straight up against Team Dignitas. And Tempo Storm is looking to simply advance their experience lead.
Yep, they are prepping their lanes. Middle lane getting pushed in. Bottom lane has been cleared out as well by Tychus and Genji. And now Tempo Storm can group up. And grouping up now is important because they have that Odin available. It just came off cooldown. So they can commit to this keep. And I really think they should.
I also want to mention a few things while we see this pressure play coming in. Abathar with a very different build from what we're usually seeing on 13 and 16. No Soma transference, which is the standard talent that you have with Greymane and also with a heavy front line since you try to keep him alive for longer. Instead, it's the spatial efficiency, trying to get the additional stab and also the cooldown reduction. So Snitch is looking to do a lot of damage himself in these situations.
A lot of damage and quickly too while Greymane's trying to jump on that back line. Poit goes in on the side here. He gets rooted. Cleanse will have to come out to keep him alive. Glarong has a drag, misses out. Ancestral Healing connects Glarong. Low on health, but he pops the essence, will be able to burrow.
The jet propulsion once again from Mubi as he goes in on Blaze. They're forcing the back, saving the keep for now. And Dignitas still in an okay spot. 1.5 levels behind, but this is still a situation that they can live with.
I gotta ask you, Caldera, would you like to see the Odin there to maybe show down on that keep a little bit more, or do you think Tempo Storm should play as defensive as they did?
I really thought they would commit a bit heavier, but at the same time the curse was running out. So normally when you make the play early, then you will get additional value on the side lanes. That wasn't really the case anymore. I feel Tempo Storm just said, hey, we have that lead, let's just try to move to 20 and get the talent advantage. The problem is things like this can't happen if they want to do this, because this is the end of Glorang. The Haka is down, and that is a big kill for Dignitas, because now they hold momentum and they use it to take structures.
Only a slight step out there. Glarong near his fort gets picked off as Dignitas comes in for a 4-man gank. The foreign gets picked off as well, and Dignitas now in even talent tiers, they're feeling a little bit more confident, especially with the Dahaka being down the field. They move towards the keep wall on the top lane.
Once again, we have talent adjustments as well on 16 for Blaze. Will be doing well here, adjusting to the situation. The heat treatment at this point is helping him with his own sustain here, healing for 75% of the damage of Pyromania. Tempo Storm, of course, with the Haka, could force the fight once he uses his global, but all that Dignitas wanted to do is take down the wall, and look at experience. They are nearly caught up.
Wall taken down. On the other side, Genji was able to grab those giants, so that will be pushing in the bottom lane, and Dahaka can join that pretty soon too. We'll be spawning in about 4 seconds. It's all about the next tribute here, and it looks like we'll have both of our teams, as you mentioned the experience, getting towards level 20 before there's 3 tributes on the field.
Yeah, and of course for Dignitas, it's actually an interesting situation now, because they weathered the storm of 2 curses on the map. And at this point, none of the teams has a tribute. That means that Dignitas can easily let this go. If they say, listen guys, on 20, we are much better. Through our scaling, we can let 1 or 2 tributes go if we wanted to, so they can fight for this one, they can hold, but if they at any point feel this is not the one, they can always back off.
Cattle stepping up, gonna have Signification on top of him as well. Cattle trying to kite backwards, will use the Army of the Dead and the Icebound Fortitude. Fan goes in for a little bit of harassment, Bunker popping out too.
Dehaka immediately cleansed out as we're seeing him go for the tongue. The Bunker is already in play here. Malfurion used the Twilight Dream, so that's not an obstacle anymore. The copy, as Snitch starts to move in, is immediately focused, but Snitch survives for a bit longer to dish out extra damage. And Psalm, of course, just firing away on Odin the entire time from the back line.
The clone has been dealt with, but Dignitas is healthy. They're waiting out the Odin. They have to escape now. They can't get caught out. Speaking of getting caught out, though, a drag connects on Wubby. He's gonna pop the Pyromania. They turn around and they go for a focus on Psalm. Psalm's low on health, but he gets healed from Jude, but he eventually does get taken out. Glarong's next!
Double kill, and they go for the triple. They go for Cattle, and they take him down. Fan is slicing, but can he take another kill? He can't. He's attempting to escape here as Wubby chased him down. And not only talking about Wubby, there comes Poik. Abathar with a 16 gives them the movement speed. Fan goes in again.
Trying to be fancy there with that cooldown, trying to get it back up again, but did not work out for them. Dignitas able to get the pick off.
Fan looked safe. He looked safe. They didn't chase him. They went immediately up to the top, and now he goes in and dies, and that's a huge problem. The boss is immediately attacked here. Dignitas, no, they're going for the keep. They have the wave pushing in. The wave is already on the keep. They're going for it. They have enough time.
They have a healthy Greymane too. They're also level 20, so that Hive Man coming online, and they're going to be able to go on to the keep. They're going straight for a core.
Yeah, they're going for the keep, and then they can either go for core or back, get boss, and then go for the core. But they're using the time window that they have with Fan down for 20 seconds. Dignitas wants to make this as 3-0. They're moving in. The copy is back up. You have a double Greymane on the core, and they're doing it. Tempo Storm is losing the core as Team Dignitas is
20,
trying to win it.
10.
Here it comes. The sec is in, and this is victory as Team Dignitas advances to the grand final of the Western Clash.
Tempo Storm having a strong early game in that game number 3, but coming down to a few errors in the end. Dignitas holds on with their out of their composition, and they're able to grab a 3-0 clean kill on their opponent.
Hoik absolutely popping off in these last few fights. 44,000 damage for him. Snitch with the build that he had here also. A huge impact on the game. And what looked like the one map where maybe Tempo Storm can start a comeback got turned around in one big team fight over the last Tribute.
Hands being shook here. Dignitas moving on to the grand finals, which we'll be watching later on. Tempo Storm, though, their run is not done yet. We'll get to watch them as they can go through the lower bracket soon. But we got other matches coming your way first.
Yeah, but still a very impressive run by Dignitas here, especially on the last map. You could really feel that Tempo Storm used the break to really think, okay, what do we need to change to make sure that we have a much better third game? And it looked really close for the longest time. I thought, okay, Tempo Storm is going to start a comeback here, or at least put the points on the scoreboard. Exactly.
Yeah.
But then Dignitas, calm, collected, accepting a curse, accepting the counter boss, accepting the second curse, waiting for the opportunity where they can finally say, guys, this is the fight. This is the one. We take it here.
Patience paying off there for Dignitas. That's going to be a 3-0 over Tempo Storm. Let's go to our panelists and get their thoughts on that match.
Congratulations to Team Dignitas, who with that victory earned a spot in the grand finals of the HGC Western Clash. We'll be seeing them later on, but we have a couple of series until then. Team Dignitas, you and I talked about it. I asked you, are they the team to beat? It looks like certainly yes, as they'll be going into the grand finals with an extra game advantage.
It looks like it, and they've deserved it. Right?
Yes.
And I'm just turning my attention directly to Tempo Storm because I feel like that series, a lot got away from them in that. And I actually think that Tempo Storm has a chance to collect themselves, come back in a future series, whether it's Fnatic or Zealots, and rematch. That is not the Tempo Storm I expected to see. I still think they've got a lot of life left in them. But Michael, that series, there were moments where it just looked a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, definitely game 1 and 2 were extremely rough, but I do think game 3, I mean, Tempo was leading the majority of that game, so I think that is a really good sign for them, you know, leading into that losers bracket, that they might be able to take a run. And if they do come against Dignitas, all right, we're not going to do those game 1, game 2 strats. We're going to go for those game 3 strats, you know, where that draft worked out a lot better for them, and a little bit better play at the end, and they would have won that game.
Vandy, anything stand out to you for either Tempo Storm or Team Dignitas in that game?
It was just a lot closer, and that was really nice to see from Tempo Storm. All I just wanted to bring up as well, that was that Dignitas has suffered a couple losses, and they've actually probably come back stronger as a team. They're playing a lot cleaner, and we were just saying the decisions that they're making now, it's really just impressing us all so much.
There were a lot of great plays for that series. So Michael, why don't you break them down?
All right, so we have the top 3 plays of the series. I'm so excited for this. So coming in at number 3, you are going to see Infernal Shrines. This is when Team Dignitas is going onto the core. They do such a smart and experienced play, all right? So at this moment, they cannot core unless they get killed. So you see they're turning on over to Cattle here, and then they're turning on over to Glorong. A lot of teams would be overzealous, jumping onto that core, just yelling, core, 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 we can win the game. But Dignitas is the type of team that, you know, is reserved. And game number 2, this is Curse Hollow. You guys are going to see that it's that play that we just watched. The amazing turn, Wubby baiting himself, actually being able to drop the bunker in just about 5 seconds here, and they get the turn onto Psalm here. And this is where, you know, Dignitas actually just wins the fight. Look at them just destroying everyone. There comes out the bunker, stopping the Dragon Blade. Oh, just beautiful play by Dig. And this is my favorite one. This is just Pollock styling. I'm just going to go silent. Just watch. That wave of force, the blink, you see how we threw the cooldowns out, wave of forced him into the cooldowns and then blink, just beautiful play.
Huge congratulations again to Team Dignitas, and we have their captain here, Snitch. Huge congratulations to him. Snitch, I want to ask about you now, how you're feeling going into the grand finals, you as a player, because you have been near the top or at the top of Heroes of the Storm for an incredibly long time. How the heck do you do it?
I think it's just a lot of dedication, but honestly, I don't know why we're talking about me, because Poik turned it on this series, and I
Yes.
think he actually went completely God mode. I think this is the best series he's ever played. Like, I think just this team has just been phenomenal. Like, we're all so motivated, we all have such drive, and we put so much hard work in, and I think that motivates me a lot as well. And I'm just super lucky to have found him, honestly, because I think this series was his best series ever, but the fact that I'm on a team with him just motivates me so much to do even more.
That's awesome to hear, as evidenced by that amazing play. Maybe the best play that we have had so far in our top threes. That was a good one. Anybody have any questions for Snitch here?
Just wanted to ask, I mean, you were constantly picking Junkrat, even when it might not have been the most optimal pick. What were your thoughts just utilizing that hero?
I think pretty much always confident picking Junkrat. Some people might be scared of the 0-2 matchup, but I think I'm confident enough in my trap usage to be able to manipulate where 0-2 can actually rotate, which I think makes the matchup pretty easy. And also it's Glaurung, so, you know, obviously a free win. But yeah, so it's, I think, yeah, it's just about knowledge of like 0-2 rotations and being able to use your mines and your traps to be able to control where he can actually go. That actually makes the matchup quite playable. So we were actually very confident picking it that game.
Snitch, talk to me about Tempo Storm. Obviously, you guys had a full day to prepare after the way things played out yesterday, and you've obviously had to have seen them through HGC North America, and they're a very unique team that we've seen draft-wise. Was there anything that you guys worried or feared coming into this series that you kind of studied, researched for?
I mean, I wouldn't say we were scared, but we respected a lot of what they were doing, right? Obviously, it was within the realms of their own region, so we can't be sure how strong these comps that they put out are, but they were so creative and strange with their drafts that it actually, yeah, it did kind of play on our minds a bit. Like, do we have to be really scared of the 0-2? Do we have to be really scared of the Malthael? Like, we definitely were considering all these things all the time, but I think we were just really confident with what we brought. Like, we respect them a lot. I actually think they're very good. Probably make a very good case for the second best team here, which is very impressive for that roster and that organization, I think. Like, the players have performed and stood up, grown really, really well as a team. So I think they are definitely performing really well. So we definitely respected them, but we felt like our meta would be better, and we just had to just respect what they could do, but work out why it was good, and then play it from there.
Yeah, I mean, so you said Tempo Storm you think is maybe the second best team here. Who do you think you are going to face in the grand finals?
I think based off the previous series, it looks like it'll be Tempo Storm.
Okay.
Maybe Fnatic will ban Maiev now, so it'll be a little bit different. But I think they did look very solid, even when they didn't have the Maiev. Like, they were still putting out good games. It was just like small mistakes that threw them in the series. So, or the game that they lost, it was just small mistakes. So I do think they do look like the stronger team, and if they play up to par, I think we'll see them again in the finals.
Well, thank you so much, Snitch, for joining us. I'll let you go prepare with your team for the grand finals. Good luck there.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a look now at the bracket of the tournament. With that win, as I said, Team Dignitas guarantees themselves not only a spot in the grand final, but that winner's game advantage. Not that they need it the way they just played, but hey, they might. We'll see, as Tempo Storm, Fnatic, and Zealots now are the three remaining teams in the lower bracket. As we start to look toward Fnatic and Zealots, we've seen them play before. They played together against each other in part one. Zealots had the victory there, but it was a close series.
Look, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, that next series, I was talking to Vandy and Dredd and everybody this morning. I was like, this is going to be one hell of a series. Like, I get to cast it next, right? I'm super excited. Like, these teams are about to throw down, right? Yeah. They don't rely heavily on their macro play the way Dignitas does. They know how to make macro plays, but they like to fight, and that is Heroes of the Storm, man. Sometimes that gets me excited. These two teams coming up, especially after what we saw last night from Fnatic, I'm excited.
Well, as we look at the schedule now for what you can expect for the rest of Championship Sunday, that match is coming up next, Fnatic versus Zealots, and the winner of that will go on to face Tempo Storm, now dropping down to the lower bracket after losing to Team Dignitas. Vandy, are you expecting Tempo Storm to come back in even stronger after that loss versus Dig?
I 100% think we are. Like I said, that game 3 was a good indication. I feel like they can settle that. The break will give them a chance to sort of cool down. And I mean, you've even got words from Snitch saying that he really respects you as a team. And I mean, those words can go a long way as well. Like, they're viewing you as real competition, so you shouldn't feel disheartened. I think they will be able to regroup.
Mike, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about it. I do feel like Tempo, they have a full series to, sit there and regroup and, go through their games and say, what went wrong, right? What do we need to prioritize? Because, you don't want to throw out the whole book, right? You need to keep some of your strategies and do some of the things you think is good, but just recognizing, okay, game 1, game 2, what went wrong and how are we going to move on from there?
When we look at the next series, Fnatic versus Zealots, since you two are casting, I don't get your predictions, so I want to know now, who do you think is going to win it?
After what I saw from Fnatic, I think it really comes down to Zealots trying to find those creative drafts that we expect from ADRD. It has to be more of Do you try and target Breeze to take away some of his most deadly heroes, or do you try and focus the new guy and Sonic trying to come in? Because whenever you can get that comfortable front line, it's easy for him to follow up. But vice versa, if you take away some of the things that he's been comfortable on, whether it's the Lee Ming or Greymane so far, I think you've got to have something in mind targeted, as well as a draft to counter whatever you leave left over. So I expect Fnatic to hopefully take that series. I think they got a lot going for them.
Well, I feel, Jay, how you and I, we were looking at ADRD's tweet, and he was saying, is it going to be good zealots or bad zealots? And that's pretty much the question of the day. We've said it, we've seen it. When they play good, they play damn good. They play a very clean game. They know the choices. They pick heroes that they're very confident and comfortable with. When they play bad, however, well, it's a totally different team. So I just need to see what have we got today. But I feel like Fnatic are in a very good space as well. Sonic's really settled in. He's had 2 days to really have a couple of games, settle the nerves, and gel with the team. So I'm feeling confident about Fnatic.
Well, thank you all for your thoughts on this first series and beyond, and have fun with the cast. Thank you for joining us here at the HGC Western Clash. Coming up next, Fnatic versus Zealots. See you soon.